they didn't. The second that I stepped foot into their house, believe it or not, they didn't love this stranger. Me and mine against him, his and his. Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Megan.
I'm Dwayne.
And we are the Blended Family Marriage Coaches. That's who we are and what we do if you're new around here. Our tagline is, marriage is hard. Blended family marriages are harder. Right. That is so true. And you guys, to be honest with you, we have made our fair share of mistakes in this journey that we've been on. And today we're going to talk about some of the mistakes and false expectations in a blended family. So stick around because we're going to talk about the hardships in blending your family and the mistakes that we made in the process. For the best advice in your blended family marriage, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That's that little button right down below. We so appreciate every subscribe that we get. Ring the bell.
Ding dong.
So that way you're notified every Tuesday when we come out with new videos. We post our videos at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. for those of you all the way over on the East Coast. I really struggle getting through that most of the time, but I did really good today. We cover all kinds of topics on this channel. We cover things from intimacy to forgiveness. We talk about marriage, sex, and we talk about all of the topics that will affect your blended family. So if you like this video, don't forget to, like this video. So there are all kinds of movies, and if you guys remember the Brady Bunch, there are different TV shows about blended families, right? And one of the ones that stick out is the movie called Yours, Mine, and Ours. It's an old one. I remember watching it with my grandmother, so it's an old one. But that movie is basically how a lot of people describe blended families. I'm going to get to the mistake that we made in this scenario in just a minute. Just let me explain this. So when you come into a blended family, you always have this yours, mine, and ours mentality. Right. For Dwayne and I, we don't have any ours except for our two dogs that we absolutely consider part of the family. I have 3 kids. Dwayne has 3 kids. And we came with this mentality of yours and mine, which was the biggest mistake that we could have made because that's the way we fought. That's the way we had conflict. I'm right, you're wrong. Or Dwayne would say, he's right, and I'm wrong. And that's the way we conflicted in the beginning of our marriage. It was always us, me and mine, against him, his and his. You guys get it. It was always versus. It was me versus him. It was me against him. It was him against me or him versus me. This is really getting tongue-tied, and I'm not intending it to because this is important. That was the biggest mistake that we made. It was always us against each other. And when we fought, that's how it came out. You're wrong and I'm right. You always and I never. Your kids do this and my kids never would ever do that. When in reality, we had to make the switch from us against each other to us against the problem. Right. And when you come into a blended family and you always have this mine, yours, there's never a blend because it's always wrong. It's always separated. We see this in blended family couples that we help a lot when they talk about their finances. Their finances are never blended. And that's so hard in a blended family to blend the finances for several different reasons. One of the biggest ones is revolving around child support. Right. And I get it. I can totally understand where you're coming from with that. But the more things that you keep separate, the easier it is to have this versus mentality instead of us against the world mentality. And we did that at the beginning, and that's how our fights were. That's how we had conflict, because there had to be a winner. There had to be a victor. But what we realized is that if one or the other of us wins in the argument or in the conflict, our marriage loses. Right. Every time. And we had to put our marriage as the first priority. We had to say it is us, Dwayne and I, against the problem. So if one of our children, let's say my children were having an issue and it was causing conflict in our home, which, let's be real, that's a huge reality in these blended families.
Yeah, for sure.
If one of our children was causing conflict in our home, it was really easy to say your kids are the problem. But that's not the truth. The truth is there's an issue in the home that needs to be addressed by us, the people responsible for the issues in the home. It doesn't get fixed if there's blame passed. It doesn't get fixed if you finally can admit that it's your problem and your issue and you need to fix it. Then causes more division. So the first mistake that we made was coming at everything with a me versus you mentality, a mine and yours kind of mentality, because the truth is, we always say that we collided, and that collide happened because we didn't combine. We didn't say it is our marriage that has to win every time. We said, no, I have to win. Or, and I'm saying that me, but Dwayne had the same mentality. And so when there were issues within the home and it was a personal attack, then feelings were hurt. And we couldn't look at the issues from a neutral perspective of how do we resolve this problem that's happening within our home. We looked at it as a perspective of either being on the defense or being on the offense and having to win. So a healthy blend is a blend of that, where you are together. We always say it is always us against the problem.
Right.
It is never us against each other. That never happens anymore. And in the beginning, that was a hard mistake that we often committed, and that we teach others to change that perspective of it has to be us against the issue. Because if one, like I said earlier, if one or the other of us wins, then the marriage loses.
Yeah, for sure.
We love to hear from you guys. So let us know in the comments, what are some of the mistakes that you made originally blending your family? Did you guys struggle with that yours, mine, and ours mentality, or maybe just yours and mine like Dwayne and I did? Let us know in the comments about some of the mistakes that you made in the beginning of your blended family, or some things that you're still trying to learn and work through. We love interacting with you guys in the comments, so don't be shy. Introduce yourselves and let us know some of the struggles that you've had in your blended family and how you worked through those. So I talked in the beginning about the Brady Bunch. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or if I'm dating myself. I think everybody's heard of the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
We often refer to ourselves as the bottom bunch, because we are. We have a few more kids than... No, we
same
don't.
amount.
Same amount of kids. We just
different.
have just the one boy.
Right.
So Dwayne didn't come with his boys, and I did have 3 girls.
Right.
So the Brady Bunch, if you guys remember that show, everybody was happy. There was every episode had a conflict, but it seemed like nothing.
Right.
And they were able to resolve it in 30 minutes. They had a housekeeper that lived lived with them all the time.
Florence.
Florence, you even know the names.
I think that was her name.
Wow.
Okay, I'm
not
dating
that old.
myself.
But what we never saw was the true conflict that happens within blended families. Honestly, I don't know what happened to the co-parents.
Right, they never talk
They
about
never
them.
talk about
They just say that they met.
Right,
Yeah.
they never talk about the co-parents or custody schedules or child support or really the reality of a blended family. And that was the second mistake that we made, that when I think about when Dwayne and I first blended, is that we had all these high false expectations, not only of each other, but also of our children. And to be honest, and I say this all the time, when we got together, I thought this is going to work so good. I'm so good with kids and they love me.
Right.
Like, why won't Dwayne's kids love me? And I am a good wife. I can be a good wife and I love Dwayne. So this is going to work perfect.
Yeah, it didn't happen like that.
Don't get me wrong. All of those things are true. I do believe that my stepchildren love me. They didn't love me the second that I walked into their house, believe it or not. They didn't love this stranger who's now expected to take on this motherly role within their home. I do adore my stepkids, and I believe that Dwayne adores my kids.
I do. They I just, yeah. I do. Like, what do you say? It was definitely... a transition there, and we really did collide. And
we did, and we go back to that word that instead of blending, we collided.
Right.
But we had false expectations. We had all of these high hopes and dreams, and so when conflict was happening, it was even more devastating because we weren't prepared for it.
Right.
When things went wrong, it was even more devastating because we didn't think that we needed to work through things like effective conflict management or communication because we loved each other. What more did we need? And that was such a false expectation. I wish that we would have worked through conflict resolution. I wish that we would have talked more about effective communication styles. I wish that I knew that Dwayne will do anything to avoid conflict, including having constructive conversations. And I didn't realize, and Dwayne didn't realize how confrontational I could be when things were wrong. I don't want to point out only what Dwayne did wrong because trust me, I was not innocent at all. But neither of us went into this with our eyes open.
Right.
We were very rose-colored glasses. So when we did collide in that collision, we were in the middle of that collision. The disappointment was even stronger. So I'm not saying that you can't be blessed in your blended family, because we're here as evidence
Right.
that through trial and error, we made it. I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't know these 3 beautiful children that Dwayne brought into our marriage had I not. I call them children. They're not children anymore. I wouldn't know these 3 beautiful people, adults, that Dwayne brought into our marriage that I got to know as children had we not gone ahead and taken the lead.
Right.
There are so many things that we've been blessed through this, but that was just one thing that we did wrong. Don't go in with these rose-colored glasses. Don't go in expecting no conflict or thinking that everything is going to be peaches and everything will be fine and you're going to wake up every morning and the housekeeper is going to be making breakfast after she cleans the house, because that's not what happens. And it's important to make sure that you know that you go into this as prepared as you possibly can be. And that was the second mistake that Dwayne and I made.
Yeah, I think that, we really didn't even think about conflict or any, we just got married, and honestly, I don't think either one of us thought about that. We just like, okay, here we are now, what do we do? And so I think it was a very rude awakening. I think a lot of blended families get to that point. Also, there's so much more to a blended family than there is to a traditional marriage that you just don't think about, and things that cause conflict that in a traditional marriage wouldn't.
Right, exactly. And that brings us to our third thing that we did wrong. We were very hesitant to look and ask for help.
Right.
The resources weren't necessarily prevalent, and I don't believe that they are today either. I think that we're making strides as people, as a church, to realize that this blended family dynamic is different than the traditional marriage, and that people need to start doing their research in order to be able to more effectively help these blended families that are everywhere and that are in our culture and in our church, so that way the divorce cycle doesn't continue.
Right.
And I think that we are definitely better off now than we were 11 years ago for the resources and the help, but we didn't ask for help. It was easier for us to hide it and to pretend like everything was fine and we were doing just okay than it was to ask for help. We didn't surround ourselves with strong, like-minded people. We didn't go to our pastors and say, help us, please.
Right.
We are struggling. We didn't do those kind of things. We didn't look for the resources. We didn't look for the books. We didn't do any of that. So the third thing that I would have done differently is definitely reached out for help.
Right.
Build a strong community around me, so that way I knew that we were supported. I have heard so many times in the counseling realm, people say that, let me have enough hope for you. Let me hold on to that hope until you get past this. Dwayne and I didn't have people like that feeding into our lives. And that was something that we made a huge mistake in the beginning.
Right.
We didn't share with the people that could help us. We didn't share with the people that could pray for us. We didn't share in that way because we didn't even honestly want another failed marriage. We didn't want to admit that our expectations were too high. We didn't want to admit that we were fighting against instead of for our marriage. We didn't want to admit any of that. We wanted to put on this happy, everything's cool kind of smile.
Right.
And the truth is that we were suffering, and we were suffering alone, which was the third mistake that we made.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in that situation right now where you need that help, you need somebody to hold on to that hope for you. You need somebody that can pray for you, that understands what your marriage is going through and the struggles that you're facing. Maybe you're mid-collision. Maybe this is like the third collision and you're just trying to figure it out and be able to blend. We would love to help you. We would love to talk to you. We would love to hold on to that hope and pray with you.
Right.
We have a lot of resources available so that you don't have to add another thing to your plate and do the research to find all of those resources. So if you want, schedule a call with us today. We would love to talk to you guys. It's totally free, no holds barred. We love to talk to blended families. We love to pour into them and pray for them. The link to to schedule a call is in the comment section below. So let's talk, let's chat. I would love to chat with you guys. Thank you again for watching. We so appreciate
Yeah,
you.
we do.
We really do.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. The subscribe button usually is right there down below me. Ring the bell
Ding dong.
so that way you're notified every time we publish a new video, usually on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you liked this video, if you got anything out of this video, if you agree with this video, please let us know in the comments. And don't forget to, like this video. It really helps us spread the word about blended families. It helps get resources out there for these blended
Right.
families. And it helps families like yours and ours to not feel like we're alone. Thanks again for watching, you guys. We sure love you. See you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.